What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another game from the Addicted to Madden channel. This one's called It Ain't Over. This is a really good gameplay here. Again, with this channel, the only kind of games I'm going to upload are games that I can attach a theme to, and something that I think might help people get better, or if it's just a really good close game. And this one is a really good close game, so I wanted to upload this. This is the second game in a row where I'm going up against the Chiefs. The last video I posted up there was it was actually in Kansas City, and the guy he ends up winning that game, and it was a really close game. This one here, this one's in Miami, and this is a good player too, even though he threw that pick, and that was a computer pick, and that's one of the reasons why I love the Dolphins, is their defensive players actually make plays for me. And that's hard to come by in Madden, because Madden is very offensive oriented. It's a very offense heavy game, and that's why the most important thing you need to work on in Madden is your your offense. And that was a user fumble that I caused. I don't think about the fumbles in Madden is, and I'm actually uploading a video where there were too many fumbles in a game, but fumbles, if it's a user caused fumble, if it's a user hit stick, then I'm okay with that. But when it's a computer caused fumble, I don't know, I could do without that. And if I win off of something like that, I won't feel good about it. But anyways, he's using the Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs have gotten, and speaking of which, there's a fumble right there. The Chiefs have gotten very popular now, that since they're an undefeated team. A lot of people are trying to use them. It was a team I actually used mostly last year. They were the worst rated team, even though they actually were a good Madden team. Sometimes the ratings don't really matter. You might have a team that's got a low rating, but Madden-wise, they're actually very good. In years past, the Raiders have been like a low-rated team, but then they would be the best team in the game to use. So you can't always go by the ratings, and then you have teams that have very good ratings, but then they're really not that good. I mean, the Patriots, not that you can't win with the Patriots, but they always have a high rating because basically they have Tom Brady. But when you look at the players that they have, they don't really have any like crazy, like glitchy players. You know what I mean? So it's so we're basically in the second quarter here. It's 14-7 him. He ended up scoring off of that fumble that I had, and that was, at this point in the game, I was getting really pissed off because, like I said, I hate fumbles, and I hate when I lose because of that kind of thing. So I get to the one here, and he actually does a good job of stopping me there, but eventually I do punch it in here. And so we're halfway through the second quarter, and it's a tie game. Now I went for two here because he went off sides on his extra point, and like I said, I regularly will now do that. If somebody goes off sides on the extra point, which is stupid, then I'll accept that penalty, get the ball on the 1 yard line, and then I'm just going to QB sneak it in, and get an extra point. And then that way, the whole game, I'm always up by one extra point. And so he'll always have to try to make up for that point. And when he does, I'm going to be ready for it, because he wasn't ready for that. I mean, he thought I was going to QB sneak it, so he basically pinched his line and committed to the QB sneak. So then I play action it and hit somebody going outward. So that's something that you guys might want to think about doing. If somebody goes off sides when they're trying to block your extra point, which they're not going to do anyways, make them pay for it. Go for a QB, just QB sneak it, get an extra point. So the second quarter is winding down here. I'm up by one, but he's driving, and this is not what I wanted. I mean, I like to score. I like to be the one that scores at the end of the half, and in that way I can go into the next half, whether I have the ball or not. At least I'm the last one to score. But he's basically in field goal range here, so he's gonna most likely score, or he'll get a touchdown just like he does there. So he's up 21-15. I have no timeouts left, so I basically have to use the sideline, and I run a screen there, and I get some pretty good yardage. And just trying to, at this point, 18 seconds, unless I can get something freakishly long, which I'd be surprised if he, leaves something deep open. I'll just take I'll basically take a field goal. But then I get this right here, and I get to like the 1 inch line, and I just can't punch it in. I'm hurrying up, trying to get there. I had no timeouts left, and I just can't get there in time to get another play off. So now the second half starts, and he's up by 6 points, but I get the ball, which is what I always prefer. Anytime I win the toss, I'm always going to select to receive the ball, because I feel like I can control what goes on in the second half better as long as I get the ball first. If I can score a touchdown on that first drive in the second half, I'm a lot better. I'm in a better position there than I am if I get the have to defer or have to kick it off in the second half, because then he kind of controls the half. I feel like whoever gets the ball at the half has better control of the game, as long as it hasn't already gotten out of hand. If it's a close game, then I think the person receiving the ball in the second half has better control of it, because he can score first and then control the clock, and then just kind of dictate the whole second half, because eventually he's going to have the lead at some point, assuming he does score. So I drive right down the field on him, and in the red zone here, since he was doing a lot of zone, since the red zone is so small, since the field is so small in the red zone, and you go zone, it's really hard to pass. So I ended up throwing that tossing it wide, and I get the touchdown there. And that's something I'm doing a lot lately. Running the ball in the red zone. I used to be very, very strict about, I have to pass, but I've been running the ball a lot more lately in the red zone. It's a lot safer, because then all I have to worry about is just make sure you don't fumble the ball, as opposed to trying to pick apart a zone in the red zone, because that's just really hard to do, especially if they go max coverage. So he does a little read option there with Alex Smith, and he gets hurt. It's the third quarter, about a minute left, and he's down by 1. And aside from the first pick that he threw in the game, he hasn't really made any mistakes. But right there, that should have been a pick. That was a drop pick by my player. And I took control of him. I really wanted that pick, and there was a lot of that going on in this game. It kind of felt like things were going his way a little bit more than mine, and that's always very frustrating. But it's something that we all have to deal with. Everyone has those kinds of games. So eventually punches it through, and then he goes for a 2-point conversion here, which he gets. And even though I called the zone there, he had a player just doing a quick little hitch where I had nobody. So he's up by 7. It's the beginning of the fourth quarter still. So my plan is to basically drive down the field as fast as I can, score a touchdown. He's going to get the ball back, and he'll have it for a few minutes, and he's going to do whatever he's going to do. And then I'm going to get the ball back, and then hopefully end the game with the score. It doesn't always work out that way, but if you manage the clock correctly, then you can make that happen. I want 2 possessions to his 1 possession. Right there, I throw a pick into quadruple coverage, and that wasn't, it was a bad read, but at that point, I was so discombobulated with all of the lag and just how things just seemed to be going his way. He tries to go over the top. He knew I was going to run commit, so that was smart of him to have somebody streaking, but he overthrew it, and that would have iced the game. He would have been up by 2 touchdowns with just a half of a quarter to go. Very slim chance that I would have come back to win that. But he's in control here. He's just milking the clock, which is what he should be doing. That's what I'd be doing. And we get to the 2-minute warning here. Still running the ball, and all I'm trying to do, I'm coming out in my run defense. I'm run committing, just trying to stuff him, and basically hopefully maybe I can get a fumble or something like that. Now he goes for a play action pass here. That's not the kind of thing I would have done on 2nd down. I would have done that on maybe 3rd down, but he ends up doing that on 2nd down, and he fails. It should have been a pick. So it's 4th down. He's going for the field goal, which should ice the game, but he actually misses. He comes up short. So it's a minute and a half, a little less than that, and he's up by 7, but I have the ball. So I have a chance to tie this game, maybe potentially even go up if I decide to go for 2. And in a game like this, usually the smart thing would be just to tie it and then maybe go into overtime. But sometimes when, I was so frustrated that I didn't even care. I was like, you know what, they really wanted him to win this game, so if I get a chance, I'm going to go for 2. So I spot Clay there, and I get the touchdown, and then sure enough, I'm going to go for 2 here. So I go for the QB sneak from the 2-yard line. I try to dive over the pile, and they gave it to me. So I'm up by 1 point with 19 seconds to go. He has all of his timeouts. So at this point, he still has plenty of time to do things. And they gave him a clipping. They gave him a clipping penalty right there. So he's all the way backed up at his 11. even though he has his timeouts, I'm still going max coverage because that's going to take a lot of time off the clock. And you see here, he's trying to wait for somebody to get open, and it takes a lot of time off the clock, and that's the whole thing. I can't let him even get into field goal range, so I have to go max coverage. And the reason why I kicked it deep was because, you know, by him running the ball, it took another few seconds. So that's the end of the game. I actually ended up winning that game. I was very surprised. And thanks for watching. Peace.